Successful meetings and ultimately successful collaborations are about people, first and foremost. When you can't have everybody in the same room with you, it's important to be able to see them, to be able to interact with them, along with the information that you're working on. The only way that we could make it happen every day is to use GoToMeeting.
I'm Michael Parrish Dudell, entrepreneur, speaker, and best-selling author of Shark Tank Jumpstart Your Business. This is a show about discovery, about showcasing the next generation of business and media influencers. It's new, it's now, it's the next crop.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Next Crop. I'm Michael Parrish Dudell. My guest today is Janis Krums, an investor and entrepreneur whose latest company, OPPRUNITY, with no second O by the way, is designed to help people create relationships that build real business opportunities. I'm really excited about this. Janis, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Most importantly, I said your name correctly?
Perfectly.
All right, good, good. So you've done a lot of interesting things. You're an investor, you're an advisor, but what you're most known for, shockingly, is that famous picture, the miracle on the Hudson, the plane that landed in the Hudson River. You were the guy that was on the boat that took the first picture that went on Twitter and exploded. It's unbelievable. Tell me about that story, because I'd love to hear how you captured that moment and why you were there in the first place.
Absolutely. So I was in New York just for business meetings, and I had parked my car in New Jersey. And it was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was trying to beat the traffic, and so I ran onto the ferry. Was actually the last person on. They held the barge a little bit for me, and so I sat down, got on Twitter, and this is when Twitter really wasn't really popular, but got on there just to check what's going on, the people that I was following. And within a minute, the captain goes on the speaker and says that there's a plane in the Hudson. And I'm thinking a Cessna, something insignificant. Yeah. And as I look out the window, I see this huge U.S. Airways jet. I'm just thinking, what is going on here?
Unbelievable.
And the captain also said, we're going to go in for the rescue. And we happened to be the first ferry to go in, actually, and start rescuing people. So as we were pulling up to one of the wings, I was on Twitter already. I took a photo, and I posted it to my 170 followers. And that's it. And I actually, as we were starting pulling people up, I gave my phone away. And we were there probably 20 minutes rescuing people. And as we go back to the Midtown ferry station, I get my phone back. And at that point, from those 20, 25 minutes, that photo had gone around the world viral. It had crashed TwitPic. My first phone call was from MSNBC on air. And I was stunned because I took one photo and we started rescuing, so it wasn't anything that I was planning on sending it to CNN or Fox.
Yeah.
That one event kind of showed the power of social media and how it could spread, and it could be anywhere as long as you have the content and the right technology to spread the content.
Yeah, so how did that change your thinking? Because it must have changed a lot, right? You got some attention, you got some cool followers. Richard Branson's your follower, which is amazing. But how did that change your thinking as an entrepreneur and advisor? Because you just saw something that was very, very effective happen because you were in the right place at the right time with the right technology. Did that change the way you think about what you want to invest in and what you want to build?
Absolutely. So initially just showed you the power of technology. I grew up in the former USSR, so where information was scarce, there was a lot of propaganda, where this was something that you could be anywhere in the world and you put a message out, and if there's enough people who want to hear that message, it will be amplified throughout the world, as we've seen from there in Egypt and other places around the world. And so initially it showed me that just each time you have this powerful technology, you can capitalize it. And also, the founders of Twitter didn't really realize what it's going to be until the users started using it. So that's one of the core beliefs of mine. When you build something, put it out there and see how users are using it. And then you can change features, whatever else, but it's in the wild, and it's not just a couple of people thinking how you can use it. It's the whole world potentially trying to see, how can I use this one technology for the best use for me.
It's that lean startup mentality, iterative building, really putting it out there. And so obviously within all of that, you saw a real opportunity, see that, a plug there, a real opportunity for a way to connect people for business opportunities that maybe they hadn't thought of before, which leads me to your company. Tell me a little bit about nuts and bolts. What is it that Opportunity actually does?
Absolutely. So Opportunity, our whole goal was to be able to connect business people, from networking to sales leads to jobs to hiring in a more efficient way than it's happening right now.
Yeah.
And so we looked at what LinkedIn is a static network where it's a resume that basically lives there, and there's a lot of information, but you're not getting a lot of value from it. Where we want to be able to say, once you on your smartphone, which everyone now has, they're walking around, they're in a new city, and they say that they're looking for a lawyer.
Yeah.
Who in this city is recommended, or who can I find? That's what we're building. We're able to build something that you log in, you say this is what I'm looking for, and we identify people around you who match your criteria.
Got it. So it's not a social network. It's a way to use social networks as a tool to find better opportunities?
So we're building basically a smarter layer on top of LinkedIn.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of information inside LinkedIn. There's a lot of information all around, but we're trying to capitalize on people submitting what they're looking for and basically being what all the dating sites are doing for social.
Yeah.
We're trying to do that for professional. So there was Facebook, and then there was LinkedIn. There's Tinder, there's How About We, and then there's Opportunity. And we're going to be the professional version for people to be matched up in current locations, and also if you're traveling somewhere or if you're in an event. How many times have you been at an event and there's 100 people there, but you have no idea who you should actually talk to?
Yeah.
And this way we could say these are the 5 people you should actually spend time with, because they're either looking for your services or it's a good match because of their background or whatever else it might be.
Yeah.
And so that's our goal,
Yeah.
and basically making a smarter connection for business people.
So using the metaphor of dating, right? They say, well, dating's broken. It's hard to meet new people. Get out of our social circle. We're going to start online dating. Okay, Cupid comes in, Match comes in, they solve the problem. You're doing the same for business. Talk to me about what's broken. Lead generation, people trying to get new leads, trying to find new business opportunities. What's wrong with the infrastructure and with the procedure and the process that we have now?
Well, it's very impersonal, first off. So our whole vision is to actually make the process more personal. So you have a connection. We encourage you to go meet them, go talk to them in person.
Yeah.
So that's where the value is. We don't want you to have another name, another phone number, or an email, because that's impersonal and people will delete your profile, whatever else. We're here, we say, okay, you're in New York. Why don't you go meet at the nearest Starbucks or the nearest coffee shop and actually meet for 15, 20 minutes and see if there's a real connection there.
Yeah.
Because that's the future. People want to be able to actually use technology to enable more personal interactions, not just hide behind the technology.
So as we have the conversation about community, which is a big conversation right now in our society, talking about online versus offline, what you're trying to do is bridge the two. You're turning online into offline.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're just the first step, and then we show you the way, and then you can do with it whatever you want.
Yeah. Now you've founded this with a partner. You're the co-founder of this organization, and a lot of people that start companies are very interested in working with a co-founder. They bring a lot of value to the table. It's hard to start a business, and it helps. But it's hard to pick the right co-founder. Not everyone does that in the best way. Sometimes they choose their friend, or they don't think about really what it means to be in this relationship. How did you find your co-founder, and what's the process for finding a co-founder that's right for your company?
Well, and first off, it's going to come from some kind of your social circle, or some kind of a circle where it's maybe a friend of a friend. And in our case, we've known each other for 3-4 years. In a social setting, known other business entities and whatever else we're doing, and it became something that we had a couple of beers and we said, what are you doing? What am I doing? And all of a sudden we said, well, I'm kind of looking for something new. So was he.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about the future of business networking. His background was actually, he had a competing business network that competed with LinkedIn initially.
Okay.
And he grew that really into a really successful company that was very niche into a certain small business market. And once we were talking about the new future, we said, well, this is what I can offer, this is what he can offer. He's run this already, he's got a great background in that industry, and he knows how to grow these networks organically. And we basically said, well, let's try this. And because I've already known him and vetted him personally, because you got to have somebody you actually want to spend time with.
Yeah.
Because you're spending more time than your family, your significant other. You're spending every single day, most of the cases, together, and you better, be enjoying that, because otherwise it's some friction there.
Yeah. So you got to love the business. You have to enjoy the person. But now, do they have to bring other value to the table? Because obviously, two people that are great at marketing and branding starting a company, even if they're starting a marketing and branding firm, there's other responsibilities. How do you divvy up roles and responsibilities within that relationship?
You have to break that down really quickly, because you don't want to overlap. It's especially at the early stage, because you have limited resources, limited time, and so you want to make sure quickly, okay, what are the responsibilities for each founder, and ideally you do want to have a breakdown so that they're not overlapping.
I know that you said earlier you grew up in the former USSR. how has, you've been here for 19 years, so you really grew up here, but how has America shaped you as an entrepreneur? Do you feel like the same opportunities would have been available there, or might have you done something else?
Absolutely not. I mean, the dream that 19 years ago, my family, when we came here, was the American dream. We came here just because of the opportunities. Just you can't describe the difference, and that still is alive. I was just back there in January in Latvia, and it's still the same thing, because America still has this huge, bright, glow about opportunity, about being able to do something that you can't do anywhere else in the world. And I mean, my family's always been entrepreneurial, so I'm sure I'd be doing something entrepreneurial, but even on a smaller scale. America provides you this huge market and all this mixed group of people that are always willing and always excited about something new, which is very different in some European countries where there's a lot of people are more traditional, where they say, well, why would you want to do something that's risky? Where America, it's all about risk. Okay, put yourself out there and see what you can do.
So obviously you've had a lot of success as an entrepreneur and advisor, but I feel like most good entrepreneurs are shaped not just by what they've done and successfully done, but are shaped by some of their failures too. Has there been a failure or a hiccup along the way that has changed the way you are today, or helped improve your business?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had numerous startups that I've done and that were great potential, and maybe I had too much going on the plate. I wasn't focusing on the one that I should have been on. Maybe it wasn't the right founders, maybe it was not the right fit for the product. And so I've done a couple of things where I spent some time, and it's all of a sudden you say, you know what, this isn't working. And you have to also admit that it's not working.
So how do you get to that place? Because I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs. Actually, I was just I forget where I was speaking, some college, and someone came up to me and said, so I put all this time and all this energy, and I really believe in this, but I'm out of money, and I can't do this anymore because I have a day job. Do I just throw in the towel? And we talked through it, because there's no easy answer for that. We talked through it, but it's hard to know when enough is enough. Is there a sign? Is there something you look for when you know it's time to walk away, or is it different for different circumstances?
I mean, it's going to be different for different people. I think it's one of the things that's going to be passion. Are you still willing to dedicate that time? I mean, there's always going to be struggles with capital. There's always going to be struggles with time, but it's going to be internally, are you willing to still put this work in there? And if you still have a passion, you should still do it. But if there's no passion, if you think this is it, I'd rather do something else that's going to make me happier, maybe I just want to be employed by somebody else and not worry about having my own project. But in each case, there's no magic formula. Otherwise, everyone would be using it. It's just sometimes you don't want to give up, and you're just stubborn, and you should. And sometimes you give up, and you shouldn't have. So it's
hard to fit circumstance by circumstance. You talked about capital, and that is a huge challenge for many small business owners. It really does take money to make money. That's the truth, right? And finding that initial capital is tough. Do you feel like startups on a whole take money too quickly, or do you think? Basically, what I'm asking you is, should most startups bootstrap, or do you think there's value in taking money from the beginning? If you're, let's say, if you're not a hardware company or something that requires it.
I think there's a much more value in bootstrapping. If you can bootstrap and start having revenue, I think there's this glorification of raising capital, and especially if you read all the tech blogs, different things, oh, this company raised X amount, 2, 3, 4, 5 million. But you're spending all this money, and if you don't have real revenue, you have to raise again. And if you can quickly actually have revenue and actually be profitable, don't raise again. Unless you need to, unless you're growing and trying to grow into a global brand. There's obviously different cases for each company, but try to be a successful company as soon as possible. Don't be bought into this whole startup that you have to keep raising and keep growing unless you really need to do that. There's different cases.
Are you worried that we're creating a culture of startups that don't know how to make revenue? Because you see a lot of people out there that are generating and acquiring users, but I don't see dollar bills behind it.
And they're going to dry up. They're not always going to be there, and then those companies they're not going to be around. And right now, yes, you see a lot of those companies. But I have a feeling in the next 2 or 3 years you're not going to, because at some point those companies aren't going to get funded. Because at some point, yes, you have 500 million users or 100 million users or 1,000 users, whatever it is, you got to be able to monetize them.
Yeah, that's right, and that's a good point. We're going to end there. Thank you so much for your time. My guest today has been Janis Krums. He is the co-founder of OPPRUNITY. You're going to find that online at opportunity OPPRUNITY.com. Don't forget, there's the second O. It's missing. They're working their way towards the second O. Of course, you can also follow him on Twitter @JKrums. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget that there is 5 minutes more of this very episode at thenextcrop.com/more. It's 5 free minutes. It's the only place you're going to find it. And we're going to be talking about what you need to know if you want to get some of his money. That's right. He's going to put on his investor hat, and he's going to tell you what you need to know if you're a startup and want to raise some cash. So make sure you check it out, thenextcrop.com/more. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week.